Shalom, Israel. Yahshua giving all praises to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai by Shem Rakakadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops, great millstone. Most salutations to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect, soon to be elect, most high will. Said he's showing the time for the elect's sake. And to the hopeful extended elect, Shalom, men, women, and children. In a quick video, this is the day I do something about, a subject about Native Americans or so-called Hispanics, which is our people, part of the 12 tribes of Israel. And really, the spirit speaks for itself. I mean, the sign is there. The Most High said, do that, make a stick. We could see it in the spirit. If you're a spiritual person, you're going to see that they're our people. So, we don't even debate that subject anymore. We really never did, but now I've looked up estimates of Native American deaths very significantly, but here are some key figures. Approximately 54.5 million Native Americans died, which is about 90% of the indigenous population during the Great Dying due to epidemics, warfare, and other factors. Yeah, with Esau. And an estimated 11 million, Native Americans perished between 1500 and 1900, primarily from diseases brought by Europeans. See? And they put smallpox on the Native Americans during the initial Spanish conquest of the Americas. And you know how, if you read about, I think Nature Knows No Color Line, you could see how dirty these Caucasians were, because they were cave dwellers. So they brought a lot of diseases to America, including, malaria disease, smallpox, bed bugs, and some other diseases. Spanish flu, I think, during the initial Spanish conquest of the Americans, up to 8 million indigenous people died, mainly due to the spread of diseases. These figures highlight the devastating impact of colonization and disease on Native American population. So this is straight from the enemy, and is no way that they have become friends, because for one, Most High sent them as our enemy. And you have so-called what you call black Native Americans or black Mexicans, and of different all shades of color, So about 77 million plus so-called indigenous people died. And they were getting hung and burnt, and babies stumped by the boots of the enemy, which is the red man, the real red man, because they put that term on the Native Americans. It's a mockery for the scalps, blood scalps they were, like to scalp an enemy, Indian, and that is, if I'm not mistaken, that word means savage. So that's what they considered us as, and I'm going to get that scripture, Genesis 49 and 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last, and you could see his main name basically means troop. When Genesis 30 and 11, and Leah said, a troop cometh, and she called his name Gad. And if you look up that word, Gad, let me see. So they're known for look how many revolutionary wars they had. Cavalry, and they got many movies that pinpoint that those facts. Bury my heart at Wounded Knee. Some of these I haven't seen. Dances with Wolves. The Last of the Mohicans. They got one called Wild Indian. wind talkers, you know, uh, skins, Dreamkeeper. I'm just naming some of the movies that they have out. Uh, Native Americans, A Man Called Horse. You know, and like I said, I'm gonna start, you know, maybe choosing, people randomly choosing people to talk about and tie it into the scriptures. I mean, like people like Geronimo, Red Cloud. Um, I think it was a man called Red River. Um, um, the Apache, so-called Native Americans. Um, in some of the wars that they had back and forth with the colonizers. So they got to pay for this. This blood, once again, blood on the so-called white man's hands, and that is for touching Israel. And it says that you touch you touch the apple of the Most High's eye. Oh, it's one that I think recently came out, Killers of the Flower Moon, Reservation Dogs, and Rumble. I have to even look at, some of these. Uh, I got one called Pray the Indians Who Rock the World. I've seen a few of them, but I've seen Bury My Hearted Wounded Knee, and it's, man, it tells you, but of course they're going to leave a lot of dirty stuff out. They always do. Let's see what this is. Thunderheart, Windwalker. Um, let me see. And the God is, you say God, you pronounce it God in Hebrew. And it also talks about how mighty men of excellent war, Gad and Reuben were, and I think even the so-called white man described them when going to war with them, described them as with lion faces, like the faces of the lions, talking about their courage and the fear, fierceness in their eyes, you know. So, meaning they were warriors, and they had to go to war. Esau pushed them into that, and Most High wanted to show that too, like to let our people know that this is your enemy. He's not a friend, and they broke so many treaties. See, that's a God and Da. He put them together as a God.
Strong's H 1410. God. God.
God. God. Or some people might say Gadah, but it's the tribe descended from Gad, a prophet during the time of David. Seventh son of Jacob by Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, the full brother of Asher. So, I have to write from foregoing. Apple, let me go ahead and get that. It's in Zechariah. And all of Israel. I mean, you Zechariah. It says Zechariah 2:8, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, Lord of armies, after the glory hath he sent me into the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. That includes Gad, that includes Reuben, and that includes all the Latin tribes as well as the Judite tribes. You know, and that's basically a real enemy right there. You give somebody blankets with smallpox in there, you that's an enemy right there, and they're still on these grounds. And now they with the Latino thing, with the deportation thing, is crazy, you know. And when our people protest, they have the indigenous signs up talking and saying that yeah, this is our land. But really, they don't know. In the scriptures, Most High don't want America. He's gonna have America destroyed, so they don't have to. In all actuality, if they knew, they shouldn't, you know, try to have any place in this place. Um, as far as thinking that you're going to be here another 20, 30 years and raise your sons and grandchildren and so forth. You um, this is of great confusion, and like I always quote that Native American, so-called Native American, that once said, America has lost the instructions to the earth. Because if he didn't, then it would be better maintained to where plenty of crops, plenty of resources, growth, happy people, um, you know, great agriculture, and things of that nature, you know. But yeah, we see, you know, this is he's doing America like he did his birthright. He sold his birthright for one morsel of meat. So careless, and that's why the American people are in such conditions, such states of you know oppression, fear of war, and all other things that could possibly, you know, go wrong or be wrong, you know. But that's a lot of movies you can learn from that you have to do greater research because they're not gonna put everything in the movies. Uh, but anyway, I'll get more into like I said, mentioning some of our people go into some of these movies, because I do have a place for movies, in my subject catalog, whatever you call it, and I'll pull from there sometimes. Uh, but yeah, the info is there, man. The proof is there. Genocide of indigenous people. You know, why so many Native Americans dying from coronavirus, and it's a genocide. I mean, Native American did the U.S. kill. The truth will shock you. You know, Native American removal. Yeah, they had that Trail of Tears, hidden history. And I think that's another movie also. It's a movie based on, and this is the colonization. This is the colonization that that happened to where they made the so-called Native Americans conform. And as you see, this title right here and this video, it says America's Darkest Secrets, and you know, it's a caption also under this that says this is the same person. So they took all this off and made him into this. And you see on the right side, he looked like a so-called white man. You know, so they that's what they did, man. You know, That's what they do now. They steal your heritage, hide your heritage, steal it, uh, tell you you're nobody, raise you into this what do you call it? This Babylonian world. Strip you of your customs and tend to make you conform. So and it's getting more that way, moving into this new world order. It's going to become more. This world is going to become more systematic, man. You know, and me and the LA brothers, we used to go to powwows, and they were narrated by the so-called white man. You're like, what the hell is this? You know. So and then they put them on reservations and close to the casinos, but by the casinos, where you also have high liquor and drug use and or availability, and they do that for a reason, keep them drunk, and they got a lot of these, even in Oklahoma, a lot of these places that you're able to go to for so-called the release stress, open bars. You know, I think there's even one bar called Crazy Horse. And a lot of so-called Native Americans go there. You know, and they're very passionate people, man. You know, and they get to drinking and saying that you their brother, which is the case. But a lot of times they're open also to the so-called white man as a brother, and that's not the case. They're the enemy. You know, and hopefully they'll learn that. But even through the prophet's teaching, that with the sign and all that, um, it helps. You know, but if Most High don't want you, of course you're not gonna come to the truth. You're not gonna wake up. But it's a deep history. It's a deep woven history uh, between the tribes. You know, and when you go back, you could see that they'll be there. You know, but I just wanted to point out a few movies and talk about a few things regarding you know the cruelty of the so-called white man against so-called Native Americans. And they're gonna have to pay for it. So anyway, hope this is edifying. To the next video. Shalom.